Sue Grafton Chapter 3. In the morning, I did my usual 3-mile jog on autopilot. Given the monotony of the weather, there was no chance I'd be gifted with the pleasure of a rainy day sleep-in. Local homeowners were in such a panic to install low-flow toilets and low-flow shower heads that the retailers couldn't keep up with the demand. A vote on water rationing was in the works. In the meantime, we were voluntarily cutting back on usage. I'd always made a point of turning off the faucet while I was brushing my teeth. Now, even flushing the commode was restricted to only the most serious of business. Everyone, well, almost everyone in the community was pitching in with the conservation effort, primarily because failure to cooperate warranted a stern reproach from the Public Works Department. We are not yet being subjected to neighborhood incursions of the water police, but there were threats to that effect. I was home by 6:45, including any cool down and perfunctory stretch. I showered, shampooed my hair, and then donned some jeans, a navy blue turtleneck, and my boots. I trotted down the spiral stairs and helped myself to a bowl of Cheerios with 2% milk. I had the local television news station on in the background, trying to ignore the chirpy weather pundit. Today it was partly sunny. Yesterday, patchy AM clouds, then partly to mostly sunny. Tomorrow, partly sunny. For the weekend, we were promised a sunny Saturday and a Sunday marked by partial sun with areas of AM clouds, clearing in the afternoon. For the following week, mostly clear and sunny with early morning fog. I wanted to yell, "Shut up already!" but I couldn't see the point. My 3-room office is on a side street that occupies one short block in the heart of downtown Santa Teresa, in walking distance of the police station, the courthouse, and the public library. I rent the center bungalow of 3 that resemble the fairy tale cottages of the 3 Little Pigs. I've been in the location now for 2 years, and while the space isn't slick, at $350 a month, it's really affordable. The outer offices serve as a library/reception area, and I have a bookcase, an upright cupboard with cubby holes, and a second-hand armoire that holds my office supplies. There's also room for extra chairs in case more clients flock in. This has never actually happened, but I'm prepared for it nonetheless. The inner office is where I have my desk, my swivel chair, 2 guest chairs, file cabinets, and assorted office machines. Halfway down the hall, there's a tiny bathroom that I recently painted a deep chocolate brown on the theory that a tiny room will always look like a tiny room, even if you paint it white. So you might as well pick a color you like. At the end of the same short corridor, I have a kitchenette that harbors a sink, a small refrigerator, a microwave, a coffee maker, a sparklets water dispenser, and a door that opens to the outside. I arrived at 8 o'clock, and while I waited for a fresh pot of coffee to brew, I placed a call to the Santa Teresa County probation offices and asked to speak to Priscilla Holloway, a parole agent I'd met while babysitting a female ex-con with a wealthy dad who'd paid me handsomely to shepherd her about. When the line was picked up, she said, "Holloway." "Hey, Priscilla, it's Kinsey Mahoney. I'm hoping you'll remember me." "Oh, yeah, Reba Lafferty's friend." "Right, you have a minute?" "Only if you make it quick. I have a client coming in for this monthly ass kicking, so I got to get myself in the proper frame of mind. What can I do for you?" "I need a phone number for the U.S. Probation Office, Central California District. I'm trying to track down an inmate just coming off a 10-year stint in Lompoc." "An agent in particular?" No clue. That's what I'm hoping to find out." "Hang on, I have the number here somewhere." She clunked the receiver on my desk. Clunk, clunk. I could hear her sliding papers all around the drawer and rustling paper. After a short period, she came back and said, "The parole officer I last dealt with was a guy named Derek Spanner. This was 3 years ago, though, so who knows if he's still there. This is his direct line in Los Angeles, area code 213. She gave me the number, and I dutifully made a note. I thanked her, but she was already gone before the words were out of my mouth. I depressed the plunger and then punched in the number. The line rang 3 times before an answering machine picked up. The outgoing message confirmed that I'd reached Derek Spanner, so I identified myself by name, pausing to spell it before I said, I'm calling from Santa Teresa, trying to contact a parolee named Christian Satterfield. I understand he was released from USP Lompoc a few months ago. I'm not sure who's overseeing his parole, but Chris is a former neighbor and he left some personal items in my care. I've since moved and I'd appreciate your giving him my new number. He can call when he has a chance. Thanks so much, and I hung up. I repeated my name and called my office and rattled off my office phone number without pausing to think. The minute the number was out of my mouth, I regretted the choice. If the information was passed along to Satterfield, he wouldn't have the slightest idea who it was. And if he dialed the number I'd given, the first thing he'd hear was me saying, Mahoney Investigations. This was not good. For a fellow just out of prison, the notion of an investigation, private detective or otherwise, would be worrisome. He'd think I was up to something, which I was. I hung up, thought a minute, and then crossed to my file cabinets, where I opened a drawer and picked my way through the folders until I found the instruction manual for my answer machine. Once I figured out how to change the outgoing message, I recorded one of those generic responses that covers a multitude of sins. The parties you've reached in the 805 area code is currently unavailable. Please leave your name and number at the sound of the tone, and someone will get back to you as soon as possible. Once that was done, I thought, now what? Haley Betancourt hadn't paid me to sit around waiting for the phone to ring. She hired me to do something else, which was to find her jailbird son. Who knew when Derek Spanner would get around to checking his messages, or if he'd actually pass along my name and number to Christian Satterfield. Even if Satterfield got the message, I had no confidence he'd call. There had to be another way to get a hold of him. I opened the bottom desk drawer and pulled out the telephone book, that source of information that's so easy to overlook. There were 12 listings under Satterfield, with home addresses that range from Santa Teresa proper to Colgate on the north end of town and Montebello on the south. A few were designated with single initials and phone numbers, but no addresses, which was useless for my purposes. I set the matter aside while I went about other business. Tax time was coming up, and I had a lot of receipts to sort in preparation for delivery to my accountant. By the time I reached home that afternoon, it was 5:15, and the light was fading. Now that we were in March, the days were getting longer, but the chill in the air suggested winter wasn't ready to concede to spring yet. I found a parking place half a block, and I hoofed it to my apartment, pausing to pull the mail out of the box before I let myself through my squeaky gate. I angled right, rounded the side of the studio, and moved into the backyard. Henry's lawn was brown, and half his shrubbery had died. There was a wheelbarrow and a spade in the grassy area beyond Henry's flagstone patio, but no sign of him. New to the scene was the recently excavated 15-foot half circle that now encompassed 2 fruit trees at the edge of his dead lawn. He'd mounted the bed with 50 pounds of bark mulch, judging from the empty bags he'd left nearby. I also spotted a hose dangling from his bathroom window, and that stopped me momentarily. What the heck was that about? Probably a water-saving scheme of some sort. I shrugged to myself and continued to my front door, keys in the ready. As I let myself in, I caught a flash of white out of the corner of my eye. Henry's cat Ed shot out of the bushes and across the yard just in time to streak into my apartment ahead of me. He'd invented this game himself, timing his run to catch me unaware. Inevitably, I forgot to check his whereabouts before I opened the door, and he'd slipped through the gap to victory. Sometimes I didn't even see him make his move and only discovered him after the fact, when he announced his win. He was a chatty little thing. Once inside, he usually slowed to a stop so he could sniff the shag carpet in case a mouse had left him a scented love note. Neither Henry nor I had been aware of vermin on the property until Ed came to live with us. Now he made regular patrols. And he left rodent remains on both our doormats as proof of his superior hunting skills. I'm just going to turn the camera a little, because I'm just going to lean back a little bit. I need to get a little more comfortable. All right. Thank you for that. Henry had acquired this cat 6 months earlier when his brother William carted him from Michigan to California. Their older sister, Nell, who'd be turning 100 years old on December 31st, had adopted the nameless cat as a stray. Soon afterward, she tripped over him, taking a nasty spill that left her with a broken hip. Oh dear. William and Rosie had flown from Santa Teresa to Flint to assist with her care. When another brother, Louis, threatened to have the cat exterminated, William had taken upon himself to pass the beast along to Henry without permission or prior warning. Hold on, I'm just gonna turn it again. I don't know. Alright, so they had the cat without prior warning. This was not a good plan. Henry had been vehemently opposed to keeping the cat, and the vet informed him that Ed was a Japanese bobtail, a rare and ancient breed, known for their intelligence, their talkativeness, and their affinity for human companionship. Henry had promptly named him Ed, and now the two were inseparable, except for those occasions when the cat came to visit me. Henry and I had agreed that Ed would be strictly an indoor cat. The street we lived on wasn't subject to speeding cars, but there was sufficient traffic to be hazardous. There was also the issue of the occasional dog running loose, and while we felt Ed could defend himself, he was too precious to risk. Ed, of course, had other ideas, and we'd no sooner confined him to Henry's house than he'd find a way out. We were still trying to determine how he managed it. It was embarrassing that he outwitted us so easily. I dropped my shoulder bag on a kitchen stool, tossed the mail on my desk, and turned on a lamp in my living room. There were no messages on my answering machine. Ed had leaped up onto the counter, where he was now reclining, watching me with interest, his devotion largely inspired by the fact that I plied him with treats. I stepped into the kitchen and took out his bag of crunchy party mix. I opened the package and tilted a selection into my palm. He chose a few kibbles shaped like chickens. Oh my gosh, leaving the fish and mice for another occasion. I put his treats down and then picked him up and carried him under one arm. All right, it's almost done. Under one arm. And so as I pushed the thumb lock of the patio door to the open position, went out and pulled the door shut behind me. Ed's purring was an audible rumble in the vicinity of my ribs as I crossed the patio. I knocked on Henry's door. I heard a muffle command, which I assumed was an encouragement to let myself in. I peered through the glass and spotted him lying on the floor, stretched out on his back. I could see his shorts, long bare feet, and a portion of his sweatshirt, while his head and shoulders were positioned halfway into the cabinet under the kitchen sink. I opened the door and stuck my head in. "Hey, is everything okay?" I said. "Plumbing issues." He exhibited a wrench, which he waved in my direction before he went back to work. He placed a 5-gallon plastic bucket on the floor to one side, along with an assortment of cleaners, liquid dishwashing soap, window spray, sponges, and rusty SOS pads he usually kept out of sight. I set Ed down on all fours and closed the door behind me. "You have a leak?" I said. "I have a plan," he said. He put the wrench down and inched his way carefully from under the counter, holding a J-shaped 90-degree fitting made of PVC. "Sink trap." "Oh, I can see that." He struggled to his feet, shaking his head at his own creakiness. Henry is 89 years old, and in phenomenal shape for a man his age, or any other age now that I think of it. He's tall and really lean, with thick snow-white hair and eyes the color of bluebells. He held up the trap and tilted it, emptying the contents into the plastic bucket. Water creates a seal that prevents sewer gas from passing from the pipes back into the room. "Ah, I thought the trap was to catch stuff in case you dropped a pricey diamond ring down there," I said. "It does that as well," he said. He moved the bucket into position under sink, which I could see now was filled with soapy water. "Watch this," he said. He pulled the plug, and the sink full of water drained noisily into the bucket below. "What you're looking at is step 1 in my new water conservation system. I can dump this bucket full of gray water into the toilet to make it flush. I can also use wastewater to irrigate my lawn." Which is why you have a hose hanging out your bathroom window? Yes? You got it. I'll keep the tub stoppered up while I shower, and then siphon the water out the window into my shrubs. Think of all the city water I can save. I probably waste a gallon every time I run the tap waiting for the water to get hot. Last week, I ordered a book on gray water use, and we'll see what more we can do. Hey, sounds good. Is that a new flower bed? He looked at me blankly. I saw the empty mulch bags. Oh, no. That mulch bed is here for purification purposes. You can't store gray water for more than 24 hours because of the bacteria content. So any runoff has to pass through healthy topsoil. Oh, news to me, I said. And to me as well. My big shock was the water bill, which jumped sky high. I called the water department and the woman checked the meter readings, which she swore were accurate. She says landscape irrigation is the prime culprit. Household use is minimal by comparison. The more lawn I can eliminate, the better off I'll be. For the moment, the water department is asking us to voluntarily reduce our usage by 20%. I'm hoping to get ahead of the game. Well, I'm being careful, I said. I know that, and I appreciate your efforts. We still have to tighten our belts. If the city restricts us further, I want to be prepared. You can count on me, I said. He clapped his hands together once. Great. Let me change my clothes and we can go down and have supper at Rosie's. With all this going on, I haven't had a chance to shop today, let alone cook, he said. Almost forgot to tell you, we have new neighbors. Since when? I said. January 1st, from what I hear. Schallenbergers on the driveway side, Joseph and Edna. Good news. I knew the house was on the market, but I didn't know it sold. I'm sure the Adelsons are thrilled, I said. What's the story? Are they young or old? No one 85 and under is old. They're retired. I just met them this morning. She and Joseph were in the backyard planting flowers on their little doggie's grave. What happened to him? I said. Her. Old age. She died shortly after they arrived. I guess they'd been expecting it because they seemed to be bearing up okay. Joseph's in a wheelchair, so he doesn't get around so well. His walker's a bit of a struggle, too, when he's crossing the grass. At least they're quiet, I said. I had no idea anyone was even living there. She says now they're settled, they'll plan to spruce up the place, which it could sorely use. Their backyard used to look worse than mine. It's already looking better than it did. He retreated down the hall on his way to his room, calling over his shoulder. Hey, help yourself to wine. I'll be right there. I can wait, I said. All right, that was chapter 3. I hope you enjoyed listening, and I'll see you for chapter 4 soon.